You on. We are joined now by General Sessions Court. Presiding Judge Bill Higgins. Judge Higgins, will you introduce those with you, please?
Thank you, Councilman Stein. My name is Bill Higgins, and I'm pleased to have Judge Angie Dalton and our Court Administrator Warner Hassel, and appreciate the opportunity to meet with you all today.
Thank you, Judge. Our threshold question for everyone is, can you operate within the mayor's proposed budget?
We can do it.
And with that, the floor is yours to talk about what's going on at General Sessions Court.
Well, I'm going to get something out of the way first that's a little unpleasant and awkward. With so many people out of work and nobody getting a raise, I'm going to ask you to restore, how much is it, Warner? A little over about $34,000 to fund General Sessions judges' raises. And I want to give you a little background, if I may. Of course, I'm not telling you all what the charter says, you know, but Section 14 of the charter provides that General Sessions judges shall be paid the same compensation as judges of the circuit court, and that this compensation shall be paid in at least equal monthly installments by the finance director over here out of the general funds. Now, this raise is set by the legislature. It's what COLA, I think, cost of living, they call it. And it applies to all elected officials here, not only the circuit judges, General Sessions judges, criminal judges. Mr. Rooker back here, I think, gets the COLA raise, and the sheriff and trustee, all the elected officials. There's a big difference here, though. The sheriffs, and this cost of living ranges from $2,000, $2,500 a month. Is that right, Warner?
Well,
more or less, for us and for them, I think. The sheriff's got maybe 600-700 employees and $60-70 million budget. So his $2,500, as I understand it, he can absorb that in his operating budget, and it's a piddling matter. And Mr. Rooker got 300 or 400 employees, and his cost of living raise can be absorbed. But there are 11 of us, and we don't have but around 100 employees. And with the $2,500 apiece plus the benefits amounts to $34,000 that has to be absorbed in our budget. And it's just very difficult to do. And I don't know if I could address a question of the finance department, but what about these?
Judge, why don't you make your remarks, and then at the end we'll be glad to call.
I'd like to know.
Response.
It just seems to me to comply with the charter. It says that, you know, we get whatever the other judges get. Now,
we'll certainly have our staff director look at the charter and make sure that that's in compliance.
I think that we do need the other thing. Of course, we can absorb these cuts and the other $30,000 cuts. We've looked at several different options, and I'll be glad to go over them with you if you like. But we can do it.
Any other comments, Judge?
Well, no, unless you'd
okay,
like
no, that's
me
fine. I'm sorry, I didn't realize. The one thing I did want to, Warner, included in this budget is the $58,000, which funds the budget for special judges, which we passed this last time.
That's correct.
And that microphone works if you need it to.
Yes.
Councilman Claiborne.
Thank you. I guess my question would be to Mr. Riebling, based on the judge's excerpt from the charter. Why are we not following a charter mandate?
Councilman, we can provide them.
There you are.
There's a $10 million budget for General Sessions Court. They've gotten the pay raise every time they get a pay raise. Simply put, we position is that they can absorb that within their budgets. $30,000 in a $10 million plus budget, they can absorb that in our opinion.
Okay. That's the other side of the story. There's always two sides.
Well, and of course, the impact, the point I tried to make, there are 11 of us, there's one sheriff with a $70 million budget and 800 employees. There are 11 of us and 100 employees.
Okay.
A lot of difference there.
Second question, I noticed on your comments here about the $30,000 reduction in the staffing of night court and the indication of the impact. Could you talk to us a little bit more about how that...
That's one of the options we've considered, to make up for that $30,000 and possibly $64,000 if our cost of living's not restored. We can cut out a shift in night court. Of course, that's the criminal court clerk would have the authority to issue warrants and set bonds. If he's equipped to do it and has the staff to do it, we could cut out a shift in our night court. That's one of our options.
Okay.
Another option we consider, excuse me.
Go ahead.
Okay, another option we considered, our traffic school. We have 44 people a day sign up for the online traffic school. They pay $85 a day. $85 for that class. It cost us $10 for a PIN number. Now, this same class is offered by the National Safety Council. They can go to school, the National Safety Council. We'll save that $10 a person. In 2.5 months, we can recover this money. But Metro will lose $75 a person, see. It won't impact us a bit. The citizens will get the same school at the same money. It will just save, that's one of our options. We can save the money for those $10 PINs to come within this budget, say, but it's going to impact the government because you all are going to have less revenue.
Right.
And another option, a third option, Councilman Claiborne, we thought we can delay hiring some of the people for the new domestic violence unit there. Some of the probation people, we can delay hiring them, I think, and Judge Dalton may speak to that better.
Okay, but I'm going back to kind of where I was trying to go with my original question. It says here, the reduction in staffing of night court could impact the jail population when there's not a judicial commissioner on duty. So explain what is the impact to the jail population if there's no judicial commissioner on duty? That's what I want to know.
Well, nobody to set a bond, but as I said, the clerk would have that authority. The criminal court clerk has the authority by law to set a bond and issue a warrant. So I don't know that that's accurate. Do you, Mr. Hassel, would you answer that?
Yeah, the state statute does allow the clerks to set that record, but they're not always law trained. So a judge would probably, one of the sessions judges would have to review the bond that's set by the clerk the next day to review all those bonds that were set, say, the night before. So it could cause a kind of a backlog in the criminal intake process if we went that route.
How many people, what is the normal flow of people through night court?
It differs by shift.
Yeah. Saturday night, it's how many?
Third shift averages about 64 people on a shift.
Okay, so just for the sake of example, there was nobody on that third shift on duty. Does that mean that those 60 people would go into a holding cell until somebody could set a bond for them, or what? I'm trying to understand what.
Yeah, they would go in a holding cell before they are able to make bond. Right. Now, if all 64, for instance, couldn't make bond, yes, they would be in the holding cells, but many times a good percentage of them do make bond.
Okay. Okay. I'm not sure I still understand, but thank you.
Councilman Pridemore.
Thank you, Chair. To continue on with that, do they have the power to issue warrants?
Yes. Yeah, criminal court clerk can issue a warrant.
So, and the reason I ask that, because on evening shift and midnight shift, you're going to get a lot of people coming in for domestic. You're going to get people in that are involved in other altercations during the evening, or just even police officers coming in to obtain warrants. How are they going to obtain these warrants?
Judge Dalton would like to respond.
That is actually the concern that, as we look at our options and weigh those options, that is one of the paramount concerns that we have, is we could, by statute, allow the clerk to set the bonds and issue the warrants. But I'm certain that the district attorney, the defense bar, the clerk would have some concerns about some of the issues that they would see. And those are things that we definitely have to consider when we're looking at these options. I mean, they are paramount issues and concerns.
Also, wouldn't that we be digressing? I mean, that's what we once did many moons ago.
It's not an option. It's not a choice that I think is something that we want to do. But when we look at what our options are at cutting, in an effort to not impact our current personnel, a shift of night court was one of the things that we looked at.
So it's just an option. It's not.
I mean, that's an option, and as Judge Higgins mentioned, an option that would impact the overall revenue would be the online traffic school, where we would say the city could potentially lose.
Well, in my limited opinion, I think that's a bad option. Thank you.
I agree.
Warner, the $58,000 for the special judges fund, how's that arrived at?
It's based on roughly 10 days per judge of having vacation days per judge of 10 days, and a half a day to 3/4 of a day per judge. And that's the way.
So that gives more flexibility, those to judges, to have that fund there and to have that ability to do that.
Right.
So I just wanted to make sure I understood
Right.
the difficult workload and as we're talking about the salary.
And that's for retired judges first, and then the former judges, so it wouldn't be for attorneys, it would be for former judges.
Thank you. Councilwoman Langster.
Thank you. To be redundant, following Councilman Pridemore, that's a terrible option. It would really impact our police officers. Not only domestic calls would be dealt a blow, but police officers working in the DUI unit, where my brother worked. Especially, I mean, they get upset when the night commissioner takes a lunch break from 3 to 4, 4 to 5. They have to stand around and wait until he returns. So I know this option would be one that you would hear from the union and probably the police chief and all the officers in the field. That just shouldn't even be on the table. Thank you.
We agree that it is not the best option, but when we're looking at the resources that we have, and in an effort to not impact personnel, fire somebody, this is just a bad time to have to do that. We're limited. Our hands are somewhat tied. The two options would be the shift at night court or the online traffic school. And I agree. I don't think either one of them are good options.
Thank you for saying that. I'm sure you all can put your minds together along with others and put a viable option out there. Thank you.
Councilman Tiger.
We had this discussion this time last year about the possible impact on online traffic school. You all weren't forced to implement denying anybody that opportunity, were you?
That's correct.
Do we have statistics on the number of graduates of that class and how it compared to previous years?
I'm sure that we have them. I don't know that I have them readily.
If you don't have them with you, just if you could get that to us, because I think we'd like to discuss with the administration
For the online part?
the online, the $75 difference and the impact to the general government and whatnot. Does your budget still include a $25,000 allocation for special judge for environmental court?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I think
Here's your microphone.
The city council authorized that some years ago for Judge Dumas.
And we took it away one year too, and it still continued.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yes, sir.
Well, it's continuing now, and I guess it's funded through, July? Right. We got Judge Allegra Walker has been elected our new environmental court judge. She will come in September, and I believe Mr. Hassell's already spoken with her about that.
Right, and, you know, it's a little early in the process. We're in a transition period where the terms of court do start after the fiscal year started, and so...
Do we have a feel whether that $25,000 will be used or not?
I don't know.
Whose responsibility would it be to write the letter to ask the candidate-elect what the intention are? I mean, there's $25,000 that for years was not used by the original environmental judge. Judge Harrington. And then, for whatever reason, money was found. This council took it away one year. You all found money in some fund and continued that practice. But in my personal opinion, a judge is elected in that division to sit at that court, and we want the judge there and not a special employee. That's a personal opinion. This body may disagree, but that's $25,000 of taxpayer money that should not be allocated.
Councilman Bedney.
We'll convey that to Judge-elect Walker.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to ask a question about something you discussed before. If we don't have the night court and people have to stay in jail for the night, wouldn't that create an additional cost for the city in housing those inmates and, save money on one end and spend more money on the other end?
Yeah, it would. The impact would not only with the sheriff, but with the lawyers, the public defender, the district attorney. I think is police department. It just reaches far out.
So, Chair, a question for you. How do we get these numbers flashed out? Because we get them all compartmented like this. If we wanted to analyze different case scenarios, how do we get all the big picture?
Councilman, I don't know the answer to that. I think the information is here. You just have different interpretations of the budget, and that's why we have these folks before us so that they can give us their perspective on the money that they've been allocated and what else they need to operate.
Thank you, sir.
Councilman Claiborne.
On the $75 that you said that the city wouldn't benefit from if you went to the online version of that, how much in the last year, what did that $75 amount to collectively?
I think Mr. Hassell knows it's a first offender traffic school. It's an online version. They pay $85. It cost us $10 per person.
It's a little over $1 million a year in revenue.
In revenue?
Yes.
And so that goes into the general fund, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so am I hearing you say that in order to, one of the options that you have to keep night court where it is to move the traffic school to completely online?
No. It will still be online. It's just the National Safety Council.
Right.
It's the same program, but they will be getting the money instead of Metro.
Right. So $30,000 you're saying that has been cut from the night court budget endangers or places us in a position of potentially not having a night court commissioner on duty for all of those
No, just impacts one shift.
One shift.
If we were to go.
We need to clarify that we're looking at one shift.
One shift on one day.
One shift on one day. We're
Okay.
looking at, and it would potentially be the lightest shift, and that's one day for the entire week.
Okay, one day out of the week. Okay.
And one shift.
One shift on one day. Okay, so there's, these are 7 days a week, right?
Yes, sir.
So there are 21 shifts during the week.
Correct.
And so there would be 22 shifts if you eliminated to Okay. Yeah, I'm not at a point of putting $30,000 on the wish list at this point to keep that from happening, but if $30,000 would allow us to keep $1 million in the general fund, then that's a that's an inane, that's a no-brainer, right?
Keep in mind, Councilman, though, that's a $30,000 reduction they're talking about. They're also suggesting an additional $34,000 for the judge's salary increase. So if they got the $30,000, they could either spend it on their own increase of pay or on that night court program.
And that's another thing that I'm not at the point of being able to put this on the wish list at this point. So, but, it's a no-brainer that we keep the traffic program if it's bringing in $1 million worth of revenue.
And you still have that option later on.
Okay.
You've got 2 more weeks that you can put it on if you wish. Councilwoman Weiner.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to get a little bit of clarification on a question that Councilman Bedney had asked. Average number of cases per shift is how many?
It ranges depending on each day, if it's first, second, or third shift. It's a low of like 22 to 24 warrants on first shift, I think, on Mondays. It goes to a high of 60, on average of 64 on Saturday night on third shift. So there's quite a range between the two.
Okay, so you're looking at the 22 case shift that you would be eliminating.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll get us the average cost that would be incurred if those 22 had to be held over or moved.
Yeah, I mean, average cost, what do you mean?
What would the cost be that we would incur for those 22 cases if they were not able to be heard during that shift?
Yeah, if the clerk of court could not hear.
Right.
Yeah, we'd work with the sheriff's office to get that for you.
Okay, thank you.
Judge Higgins, Judge Dalton, Warner, thank you for being with us. Thank you very much. Thank you. Mr. Rooker.